Hi, welcome. I'm Leeza Steindorf. Welcome to Toastmasters, TV Toastmasters. And I'd like to welcome you to this segment, Good People Doing Good Things. I'm a member of Washington Street Toastmasters, and my guest this evening is Dominick Kukla. He is a social advocate. He is also an up-and-coming musician, and he's the founder of Helpers United. And I'm excited to have some time with him tonight that he can share with you about his journey and some of the good things he's doing in the world. Welcome, Dominick.
Hello.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So, tell us some of the things that you're doing in the world, how you're helping people. You're very involved in the community and in sharing your journey. What is it about what you have seen or done that you would like to share in the world?
Well, what is it that I would like to share? You know, it's a lot of stuff, but I guess it is, you know, it's a ton of things. It's really a lot of different things. I have a lot of different interests, and I've read a lot of different books.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, one way to describe what I want to share with people is all the stuff that I didn't learn in school, but I did read. And so, you know, it is written down and it has been documented, and it's just kind of, you know, wisdom that hasn't made it into the mainstream educational system. So it's a lot of that stuff.
What's one thing that you have, I know that you shared previously with me that what you have experienced you would like to share with other people so that they won't have to go through the same thing, and these are things that you feel were not learned in school. So what's one thing that you've gone through that you would like to save other people from and that you maybe would like to see in school?
So one thing that I would like to save people from is, you asked me to come up with like a from to statement about myself, and I will say from paranoia, from a great state of fear about the state of the world, and sort of being isolated and trying to understand it, feeling alone, and so, you know, from that to empowered.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did you make that jump to empowerment? What's something that moved you into that place, other than reading, of course?
Yeah, well, you know, it's a lot of things, and it's an ongoing thing. But, you know, a big part of it was coming back into a connection with others. I think it's, you know, apparently something that our culture does, especially, is advocate sort of like this, you know, self-development, or like go and help yourself, do it yourself, love yourself, which is all really good. But that's only a part of the equation, you know, and if you're really loving yourself, then you're making sure you're taking care of your friends and you're keeping in contact with the people who keep you healthy. And so, yeah, that was a huge part of it for me, is just, you know, I was always a very social, you know, I had friends and had a lot of fun, and then kind of got very serious about, you know, wanting to improve myself and wanting to understand the politics of the world and, you know, what I can do. And, you know, it was like at some point people would come up to me and you know, let's say a friend reaching out or something and say like, hey, you know, what's going on? Really, in effect, saying like, hi, I'm a person here who needs your help.
Right. And
me, I'm here focused on this thing that I'm chasing, and be like, oh, I can't talk to you right now. I'm busy trying to figure out how I can help people. You know?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a returning to the present a bit, and returning to, first and foremost, you know, maintaining connection with other people.
So I hear you really went from a place of being internally focused and having fear about how the world was looking, to coming clear that you have power within yourself, and that enabled you then to really turn out into the world and hear those people that were saying to you, hey, you know, I'm here, help, or share with me, or whatever.
Yeah.
So how does that, tell me a little bit about, and our viewers about Helpers United, how that idea came into being, and a little bit about what that's about.
Yeah, so Helpers United is basically a networking event for activists. How that came about was twofold. One, I started a business when I was 19. Did that for a while, not knowing anything, and I was helped a tremendous amount by some networking events, just places to go, socialize, meet people, ask questions, and sort of get guidance, you know. And you know, I had wanted to make some sort of tangible social contribution. Put that aside for a while, trying to be like an entrepreneur and everything. And so I thought, okay, I need to, you know, move into action, do something to start helping people. Why don't I just find one of these networking events that, you know, entrepreneurs have, that the startup community has. You know, obviously that's going to exist for, you know, wanting to help the world. There's all this passion for starting businesses. It's got to be there for.
Makes sense. Logical thought.
Right. And so for my actual need, I went and tried to find something and was completely disappointed. Just didn't. And you know, there are things out there, but it took me a long time to find them, even after, you know, being involved with this project. It's really not comparable. The resources aren't comparable. There's tons of different organizations you can join, and you can lots of causes who are ready for volunteers. But in terms of like a sort of like a, you know, just a hub to explore and meet and connect, rather than, you know, I didn't find that, and so that's what that is.
I was very impressed the event that I went to with you in Help Is United, the format that you had of having different people. I think it was 5. Am I correct? 5 different people who were doing things in the community, that were supporting the community, and having each one of them talk, and then having the guests ask questions of those people. So it was both a networking event. It was an interesting combination: networking event, a training event, a sharing event. I mean, it was just a really neat combination. And what I found, not only for myself but the other participants, is that everybody was inspired, both the people that were sharing and the people that were listening to the people, and then others said, oh, well, I'd love to get involved with that. And so it was really a very fruitful, the whole thing was a really fruitful event.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Yeah, it was really great.
It's really cool to see people flourish when given the space to express themselves. When they're asked, what is it that how do you want to help the world? What is it that you really care about? What is it that you think people need to hear? And really just giving them that space. People are kind of like, oh, that's it, that's all, you know, and then they really connect with that thing they care about, and people just really gave amazing presentations.
And so in taking that, what you care about and you're passionate about, and bringing that, expressing that in the world, as you say, I know that you do that with your music. And so tell us a little bit about what it is that you want to share with your music, and I'm hoping we can maybe have you do a little bit of rapping tonight, if you'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So share, how are you sharing what you're passionate about and what's important to you in the world through your music? How does that take place?
Well, with great work and difficulty. It is a very challenging endeavor. Music is it's kind of a very vulnerable thing to do. You know, how do I do that? Well, you know, there is just like I have a deep sort of yearning to express something, to share something with the world, to just shout things at the top of my lungs, you know.
I think everybody's had that experience.
Yeah.
Getting so frustrated, whatever political viewpoint you have, just getting to that point of frustration, and there's nothing you can do. So I can imagine being able to share that through music just must be satisfying also.
Yeah, it is when it works, and it is still something I'm still very young at, and it's still very hard for me, and so, you know, for me, you know, it's the thing I grow through the most, and it's going to be something that I got to stick with for a long time to get to the standard I want to get to. But yeah, it's the beautiful thing about rapping, is that you can just fit a lot of words in. And you know, despite a lot of the music that's out today, that is something that matters to a lot of people. Is the lyricism part of it. And there's a rich tradition of, you know, very meaningful messages being put through the art form.
Yes, and rapping, I've always been amazed, and especially when I've heard you rap, that how you can speak so clearly, so concisely, and imparts such wonderful information. It's just a really fascinating art form, and I love music. I am a musician. Rap is totally beyond my ken, but I have a great appreciation for it.
Oh, thank you. You're a musician?
I am.
Really? What do you do?
I am. I play the trombone.
No way.
I was first chair trombone for many years, yeah. And I
did
also
not know
sing.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew that.
Yeah. So, would you be willing to rap something for us?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
Would you be willing to beatbox for me?
I'll do my best. Tell me what you want me to do.
I'm kidding. You don't have to do that.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I'll do a little thing here. This will be my official first, what is it, a cappella with no backing beat.
Okay.
And wrap this little thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. This will hopefully go better than my first time. The first time I tried to do this, there was like an open mic show thing, and they're like, anybody, it's kind of like this big event, like everyone gets like a minute to go up, and if it's no good, they'll boo you off or whatever, and there's a bunch of people there. And anyway, first time I go up there, I'm like, bam, first line, I totally forgot the second line.
Wait, you can use the table if you want to beatbox. You're welcome to keep your rhythm.
I thought about that. We'll just do it rhythmless and see how that goes. My purpose in life is to empower the world. Mindful motivation for the boys and the girls. Gandhi Tole Robbins is what I'm about. Mixed with the young man trying to figure it out. Was kind of a wuss at rapping in front of people, but that's my chosen path. I've asked to have no equal. Kind of like Pac with the White Boy sequel. Not from the hood, just wanting good over evil. So what was I to do about a shyness problem? Not even my partner heard me like my steering wheel. Will Ferrell's stepbrother's a secret Robin. In my mobile booth where I'm free to be real, free to feel alone, but I steal the show. When nobody's looking, I reveal the flow. Spitting as I'm picking up a meal to go, till I pull up to the window and I turn it low. Not ideal, but at least I peel out to my song without a doubt in the world. The flow is so strong. Freestyles disappear, that probably bring me a title. If I wrote them down, get them in the rapper's Bible. But it can be hard to be actually real when you actually show how you actually feel. But my religion is truth, and so that is the deal. So on stage and in booth, not a fact to conceal, I persist. Rising sun, thinning mist, not even a thought to my spot on the list. Believe in the plot, I unlock and untwist. But Avda is the truth. If I speak, it exists.
Woo! That was fantastic. Awesome. Thank you for that. Very nice. Truth is your religion. I really like that. And the whole rhythm, it's interesting to watch you when you do that you transform and you are sung, or you are rapped, if you will.
Yeah.
It's a very cool thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So if people want to find out about your music and what you're doing in the world, how can they find you?
So I go by Pravda. If you're American, you say Pravda, Pravda, for my fellow Slavs, or Czech people, Russians, whatever. But that's Pravda, Pravda. It's like Prada with a V, like Prada bags or whatever.
Okay.
Pravda. And so you can find me online at Instagram's a good place. Follow me on Instagram. That's Dom Pravda. My name's Dominic, DOMPRAVDA. SoundCloud as well. So soundcloud.com/Dom Pravda, all one word.
Very nice, Dominic. And I know you've got some really wonderful stuff out there, some very inspiring rap music. I've enjoyed listening what I've heard. So
thank you. Yeah, I've one EP up, like the first thing I did. It's my first songs ever recorded about a year ago now, and I'm going to have my next project which will be a mixtape, which will be at least 12 songs as opposed to just the 5.
Awesome.
So I'm about to triple my music.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. I've gotten a lot better in a year, so I'm very excited.
Very good. Well, I look forward to hearing more of it.
Thank you.
And also to seeing what else you're going to be doing in the world.
Thank you, Leeza.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
It. So thank you all for listening and being with us for this segment of TV Toastmasters, Good People Doing Good Things. And my guest, Dominick Kukla, this evening, which was wonderful to hear him rapping. I thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Till then, be well.
Welcome back to TV Toastmasters. I'm your host, Linda Bard, and I'm with the club, Toastmasters for Speaking Professionals. And today my guest is a health and wellness expert. Her name is Daria Howell, and we're going to talk about why health and wellness is really connected to how we show up in the world and our success. So we're going to cover a couple of points that you'll be able to take away and bring them to play in your own lives. And I'd like to welcome Daria Howell.
Hi, Linda.
Hi,
Thanks for having me.
Daria. So the 3 points that we're going to talk about today are mindset, mindfulness, and then some other multiple factors, as you like to call them. What is the mindset that we need to have around health and well-being? Because it really kind of falls under the umbrella, ultimately, of self-care, right?
Right. And, the first thing to realize is the world really needs us to be our best self. We need it for our own happiness and enjoyment of life, and the world needs us to be at our best if we're really going to do our best work in the world. So the mindset that I try to instill in my clients is that it's important to put your self-care first. It's a matter of, it's not like I can't have that anymore if you're thinking like altering your diet, or I just don't have the time to work out, or all the things that people can come up with to not take very good care of
Excuses,
themselves.
you
I
mean?
don't have time to sleep.
Right.
These things that's a mindset. Instead, I would suggest that they substitute, I am worth it. I am happiest when I get enough sleep. I feel the best when I eat these kinds of foods, that sort of thing.
Well, and there's the phrase that our body is a temple, and we wouldn't go and trash somebody's house, so why do we sometimes do that to our own house?
Why indeed? It's easy, it's convenient, yes, it's what we're used to.
So with this, taking care of ourselves, bringing along this vitality that helps us show up in the world in a big way, what are some suggestions to overcome the I can't mindset?
Well, just what I was saying. Well, yes, just to realize that what you do, everything you do is impacting, your body right now, today. It may not show up in the form of a diagnosis, but, even like showing up with crankiness, chronic crankiness, irritability, brain fog kind of things, not being able to remember. Those are like early warning signs. So,
right, and then if we continue to ignore them, then of course our body says, okay, you weren't listening to this. How about let me, put you in bed for 2 days with a cold or a migraine, or you've pulled a rib and now, you won't slow down. I'll make you slow down.
Yes, and as you get older, then you get slammed with something even worse,
Well, speaking of age, and this is one of the things that I think, you are such a great representative. You practice what you preach. I just wanted to let everyone know that you are 67 years old.
Yes, I am.
Dang, girl. And I will go out there on a limb and tell you that I'm 63.
See there?
And part of that, I'm sure you get it all the time. People are like, what? Yeah. But part of that is because we have done that work. We have taken care of ourselves. We prioritized our health and our well-being. And that shows up as less stress lines in the face, not looking like you were out all night, partying or whatever. But the mindfulness piece, tell us some practices around that we could incorporate.
One of the simplest ways is just to do a body scan, when you wake up in the morning or when you're going to bed at night, just to allow your your vision sort of to go inward and just scan and see, notice what's going on in your body. And if you find areas that are kind of getting your attention, I mean, that's just something you can, notice. And a lot of times just noticing an area that's not, maybe it's not real painful yet, or you can't put a name on it, but it's a little something getting your attention. And just by you giving it that attention, it will start to shift and change. Or maybe it will remind you of something that you should be doing, that you had started to do it at one point and now you've let it go for a while. Oh yeah, I need to go back to that.
Right. Now, part of your studying, training, expertise that you bring to your practice is functional nutrition. So people, there's of course any number of diets, the keto, the Weight Watchers, ultimately they all at their core want you to pay attention to what you put in your body. So how do you approach nutrition with your clients?
Well, all those diets you named and many more, I mean, there's hundreds of them, right? They work for some people, but with functional nutrition, you realize that there's no one diet that fits everyone.
Right.
It's all very, very individual. And even in ourselves, like from, 1 year to the next, it can change. So functional nutrition is really about backing up your sight to the roots of whatever is going on in your body, and also about being mindful moment to moment about what the body needs and what it's trying to tell you. So yeah, the one thing I think most nutrition gurus agree on is we all need more vegetables.
Okay.
But even at that, kale can be healthy for me and not for you because, maybe you have a sensitivity to it. So it's like, it takes a lot of attention to get it dialed in just right.
Yeah. Well, for me, I've noticed that because both of my grandmother on my father's side and my grandmother on my mother's side and my aunt on my father's side, or his sister, all had rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
And that's something that is just starting to kind of flare up for me a little bit. And so I'm trying to not just buy into, oh, well, it's genetic, it's nothing I can do about it. So I'm really being very conscious about what I put in my body, what triggers inflammation. Getting rid of all nightshade vegetables and stuff like that. For some people it doesn't work. It does work for me. So where does that fall under the spectrum of, testing, or, because there's also the allergy testing that people do around food substances and stuff. Is it just really following the guidance of someone who might understand what you are doing based on your, what you're expressing based on your symptoms, or do you have to go and do a little bit more of that type of discovery?
The folks I have studied with don't necessarily jump right to testing anything. And a lot of the food allergy testing is not completely accurate.
Right, that's what I've heard,
yeah, with functional nutrition, you, like I said, you back it up and go back to what were the causes of this occurring in this person's body now at this time. So like you said, you have a genetic component, but there's other things that have come in. So it would take sitting down and really finding out what that is, talking about it, mapping it out. And then usually for food sensitivities, you would do like you're doing. You would eliminate certain things for a period of time. If your symptoms go away, well, that's a clue. But but the goal is to be able to eat as many foods as you possibly can. Like I've done the no nightshade thing too, and that's terrible when you're an Italian.
Exactly. What? No tomatoes?
No tomatoes, no peppers, what?
I know.
So there's that. But then you bring those back in after a period of being off of them. And sometimes your system has healed well enough that you can tolerate them. So it's just, and there's no easy answer with this.
Right. But that mindfulness, paying attention is really, it sounds like it's the key.
It is the key.
Because sometimes, again, not listening, and we just sort of plow right through all of that. So the multiple factors that you were talking about, how do those...
Yeah, well, it's not just about what you eat, right? So there's a nutrition doc who's kind of famous. She's authored some books and done a lot of programs, and she's been on Oprah and whatever. She says it's about how you, not just how you eat, but how you move, think, sleep, and connect. And I would also add it's about our environment, about our personal traumas, and about toxins that we've been exposed to or are continually exposed to, things like that. So we have to look at that whole picture when we're evaluating somebody's, what they're coming to us about, what they would like to correct.
Well, and that I just read an article the other day talking about how scientists, and it wasn't in this country, I'm trying to remember exactly which country it was, but they basically tested the poop of a bunch, like 100 some people, and they were able to find microparticles of plastic in our poop. Because of whether it was like from water bottles or from, just when you stop and think about how much you come into contact with plastic in various forms, but even talking about like inhaling, like people who work with nylon, sewing stuff in factories. So you think about all of that inside your body.
It's in a lot of hair care products.
Right.
It's in your skin care products.
Yeah.
The food that we eat, if it's stored in plastic, and God forbid people microwave food in plastic,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Right. And so, and I guess, then of course it's like not to freak out and go be hyper vigilant all the time, because that isn't good for your system either, to be like, oh my God, plastic. So just having that conscious about, how you buy things, what drinking out of, stainless steel bottles versus, plastic water bottles. And even though all this stuff is BPA free and this, that, and the other, we can sometimes get complacent around that.
Right, exactly.
So in your work, how do you, what is your goal for, you're talking about ageless beauty and vitality and everything. What is your goal for women entrepreneurs and people in general, but women entrepreneurs who are out there, trying to do big work in the world and need their bodies to be functional for them to continue to do that?
What's my goal for them?
Yes.
That they really get serious about their self-care and realize that to be their most vibrant self, to be their most powerful self in the world, to accomplish their mission, they need to start right here with themselves and their own self-care, and not like say, I don't have, like we said in the beginning, I don't have time for that. Well, you need to make the time.
Absolutely.
It's really, really important.
Great. Well, thank you so much for making us aware of some of the things that we need to take care of, and baby steps, right?
Yep, baby steps.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little talk with Daria and took some tips away about how you can take care of yourself to be the healthiest you that you can be. I'm Linda Bard, your host, and thank you for tuning in to TV Toastmasters. I'll be back next month and would love to see you then. Thank you.